Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Nacho Problems, where we turn ordinary recipes into extraordinary nachos. I'm Nacho Queen, but you can call me M. We're in Palestine on our world tour this week, and we're making Musakhan nachos. Musakhan is a layered dish comprised of chicken, slow-cooked onions, and flatbread. I do love me some slow-cooked onions, so I thought we should give it a try. Let's get started. Step 1, the cheese. As odd as it sounds, we're going to use the onions as our cheese. And for that we need 3 to 4 large onions, diced, some olive oil, 1 tablespoon sumac, and a spice blend that includes 3 tablespoons allspice, 2 tablespoons cinnamon, 1 tablespoon coriander, 1 teaspoon black pepper, 1 teaspoon cardamom, and a 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg. We will use half of this now and half later when making the toppings. Start by adding the onions to a large, deep skillet or possibly a stock pot. Now my instructions said to cover them with oil. I would say go with about 1 to 1.5 cups of oil because this was way too much and it really felt like a waste. Now add in half the spice blend and the sumac and stir well to coat. Then we're going to cook the onions over medium-low heat for an hour until they're nice and jammy. Be sure to stir them every now and then. After an hour, I decided to scoop out some of the onions and blend them up. But to be honest, I'd skip this part if I were you. I thought they would blend into a nice sauce, but no, the texture just wasn't that great. But that's our cheese. Next up is step 2, the chips. For our chips, we'll be making Palestinian flatbread called taboon. And for that we need 2 cups all-purpose flour, half a cup whole wheat flour plus more for dusting, 1 tablespoon yeast, half a teaspoon sugar, half a teaspoon salt, and 1/2 to 1 cup warm water. In a large bowl, combine both flours, yeast, sugar, and salt, and mix well. You'll notice I added the salt to the opposite side of the bowl as the yeast. You shouldn't allow them to touch before mixing. The salt can actually kill the yeast. Now, slowly stir in some water until you have a sticky dough. Then, cover it and allow it to rise for 1 hour. To bake, we're going to be using something called baking beans or pie weights. These are little ceramic beads that are usually used to weigh down pie crusts when they're being baked without filling. I've given mine a good rinse and I'm going to spread them out onto my baking sheet and then put it into the oven to preheat to 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 C. This is probably at or at least close to your oven's max temp, so please be careful. After the dough is rested and our oven is up to temp, we're going to sprinkle some more of the whole wheat flour down on the counter, cut off a little piece of our dough, and roll it out into a roundish shape, about 1/8 of an inch thick. Now place the dough onto the preheated beans, careful not to touch them, and bake for 3 to 3.5 minutes. Be very careful when removing it, as some of the beads may have stuck to it and they are still very hot. But that's our chips. Next up is step 3, the toppings. Our toppings will be our chicken, and for that we need 4 to 6 chicken thighs, 1 onion chopped, the other half of the spice blend, some sumac, some olive oil, 1 teaspoon salt, and half a teaspoon pepper. We'll start by adding our chicken to a medium skillet. Now I'm going to drizzle on some olive oil. I'm stealing some from the onions. Next, sprinkle on the rest of the spice blend, the salt, pepper, and a generous helping of sumac. Now toss to coat. In case it's not obvious, I do not have the burner on yet. Now turn them all so that they are skinned side down, and turn on the heat to medium-high and cook for 5 to 6 minutes or until the skin is crispy and brown. Now, if your skillet is oven safe, you could move the entire pan to the oven to finish cooking, but I have the nephew and Cheeky Nugs visiting, so I have more chicken to cook, and will thus be moving the chicken to a sheet pan to finish up in the oven. Sprinkle the onion over the top of the chicken and then pour the pan drippings over all of it. Sorry about the camera angle here. I think cameraman got distracted. Finally, it's into the oven to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 C for 20 to 25 minutes or until the internal temperature of the chicken reads 165 Fahrenheit or 75 C. And that's our toppings. All that's left is step 4, let's eat. We'll start with some of our tabbouleh, which I've sliced into quarters. Top those with some of the diced up chicken. And then spoon on some of the onions. Finish with a sprinkle of parsley for some color. And let's see who's taste tester. Chicky Nugs has offered himself as tribute. To be honest, guys, it was very underwhelming. For all the spices in the recipe, it turned out really bland. If you've made this before, please let me know in the comments what I did wrong, because I'm sure it was supposed to be more flavorful than this. I promised you guys once that you would see my failures, and I really fell flat here. But I tried, and I'm willing to try again, and I'm willing to fail again, because that's how we learn. Well, that's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, give it a like, and please consider subscribing if you want to see more nacho videos. If you have an idea for a future video, you can leave a comment below, or tag me on the site previously known as Twitter. I'm at NachoProblemsYT. I've also linked my blue sky below, but you won't find me on Facebook, Instagram, or Threads. If you're looking to steal my apron, well, that's nacho merch, but you can get your own at a link in the description. Now, after all that, I need to go restock on onions, olive oil, and several of my spices. But that's not your problem. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.